Evening. Welcome to Load Mag NUFC. This is a reaction show to the second leg of Man City versus Newcastle United. Straight down to business. No small talk. Hope everyone's okay. Let's get this shit done. This is the team news. Boys, any thoughts on the team news?
At this point, I don't even care. I don't know about you, Chris. Literally.
I was intrigued to see five at the back. That was it.
Let's just run it through. Man.
Right, I'm gonna so can I do this in 3 minutes? Right, first half. After City eventually lined up in the tunnel, after 6 minutes, a good interchange by two City players. Burn tackle that deflects the ball up and into our net off Marmoush. 1-0. Why have 1-0 to make it 3-0 on the night. An aggregate. And then at that stage, 8 minutes. Willock through. Gordon, a great ball from Gordon. Trafford collects, should have finished it. If Newcastle had to go for it before, they were down 3-0 down and behind. They really have to go for it, and they start to leave gaps, which City then exploit. But 20 minutes, Gordon in again, second chance for Newcastle to score here, blocked by Trafford, who had a good game overall. 27 minutes, excellent work by Lewis Hall to hassle and hustle Nunez to win it, then drive at them and wins a free kick. Nunez gets a yellow, trips free kick, well saved by Trafford, but 30 seconds later, City in again, Marmoush again, another scrappy goal as Trips clears the ball into the air, only for it to drop right to Marmoush. 2-0, 4-0 on aggregate. VAR confirmed that. 32 minutes, Reijnders makes it 3-0 on the night. After 32 minutes, this is getting embarrassing now at this stage. I think we all agree on that one. 5-0 on aggregate. 35 minutes, penalty claim from Sven and Byrne, and nothing going for Newcastle there. 41 minutes, Gordon down, hamstring injury. Had he had enough? Was he really injured? Who knows? Gordon off, Barnes on. Halftime. What's to make it first half, boys?
Absolutely dreadful for a number of reasons. The setup wasn't right. The setup was wrong. Eddie got his tactics wrong tonight with how he set up the team. Too gung-ho. I don't mind the team going for it, but it was way too gung-ho. Too much space in and behind, and too easily exploited by Man City. They didn't have to work for either one or all three of their goals effectively. They didn't have to do that much to earn them, which is a really, really sad place to be when we were chasing the 2-0 deficit already. But it was also equally poor because of our lack of quality in front of goal in the first half. And I think second half will be the same theme. We had chances. We can't walk away from today at the Etihad and think, oh, well, we didn't create chances. We didn't muster up an opportunity. We mustered up about 6. We had 6 good opportunities to score, and we didn't, because that's been our Achilles heel all season. When the chips are down, when it's needed, we cannot put the ball in the back of the net, and that's been a massive Achilles heel all season. Our attack has been the problem, not the defense. The attack has been the problem, and it's continuing to be the problem because when we do create chances, we don't score them, right? And that's just the quick summing up. I could go into more detail. I'll be honest, lads. I'm sorry. People watching, I'm sorry. I can't be arsed. I'm sure you don't want to hear us go into loads of detail about this game. The quicker we move on from this game, the better. But yeah, that's me. Chris, your thoughts, mate?
Do you know what? It's nice to see people in the chat kind of feeling the same way that we did. We didn't have a discussion before the game as to whether or not we were going to do a show because, as I've just mentioned there to James Walbridge, good or bad, we always do a show. We don't want to be seen to be ducking out, even though we all did not feel like doing a show, we'll be honest. But yeah, in terms of that first half, yeah, appalling. Start to finish. First goal, unlucky. But, just one of those, and obviously came at a terrible time, 7 minutes in. But for me, it was more the reaction of what happened after that. The second goal was a disgrace. The third goal was even worse. Just a complete collapse. I could probably go through individuals, but like you said, Pete, I'm not going to. Yeah, from start to finish, it wasn't good enough. And I actually look back, and I'm maybe skipping a bit here, but we had 4 really good chances, really, really good chances. We could have scored 4 tonight, and it just goes to show, for anyone who was doubting this at home, like City aren't all that. We've made them look really good tonight, like really, really good. We've seen City a lot this season, and they've been poor, but tonight we made them look really good. And that is so disappointing. And you could tell everyone was gutted at the end, but the game was done after like half an hour, wasn't it, lads? Let's be honest. And having to sit through the other 60 minutes was pretty hard work. Things did improve second half, but again, same issues. Couldn't finish our dinner. Didn't take the big chances. Tactics were wrong. Formation was wrong. You could argue personnel was wrong. I don't know, but yeah. Lots of things I wasn't happy with, particularly at half time.
Right, let's get into that second half. And you're just, Chris, if we even had scored 4, we'd still be out. 3 subs at half time. Elanga on, Willock off, Wisa on, Woltemade off, Jacob Murphy on, Hall off. 45 minutes, Wisa, his first touch, he's in on goal. He hit it well wide. 56 minutes, possible penalty check for Wisa. Nothing. 62 minutes. Elanga, this is the one highlight from the game. Elanga dances past several City players and strikes it in the bottom corner to make it 3-1, 5-1 and aggregate. We're still in this, boys. I'm going to carry on, boys, and you can comment on the goal at the end. 67 minutes. Barnes with the ball in the net, offside. 69 minutes. Elanga in for a second. Great ball by Barnes, misses the target. 75 minutes, trips off Asula on. 80 minutes, ball across the box from Elanga. Wisa couldn't connect. Some great saves by Ramsdale, mainly from shots from Holland. That's it. Out of the cup. 3-1 on the night, 5-1 in aggregate. Thoughts on the game, boys?
I'm just going to go straight to the goal. I'm going to be honest. That was the highlight of the night for me. That right there from Anthony Elanga is what I saw from him last season at Nottingham Forest. That's what I saw him at his pomp when he was playing his best football. It was a lovely goal. In fact, it was a superb goal. Really, really good goal. He looked like he was on a mission to just go at Man City. Every time he got the ball, he was winning. He was the only one player that was willing to run at the opposition and make them go backwards and put pressure on them. He was the only one that was willing to do it. It's a lovely jink inside, in between 2 men, and he stands up his man in the box, and he does that little fade with his right foot on his left. First time hit, in off the post. It's a lovely, lovely goal. Really, really good goal. It's the highlight of the night for me. It just shows what is in this player. He is capable of it. But what we need to do, we need to harness that. We need to bottle that up and go, you know what? Go do it again. Even if it doesn't work, even if you go on that run and it doesn't quite work out, get the ball and go do it again and keep doing it, because playing like that is the only way we're going to open up teams, is actually go at them. There's a couple of times in the first half that Gordon got the ball and was one-on-one with his defender and could have gone for him because they're playing such a high line, and instead he holds the ball up, he plays it backwards, and he trots off into the middle. Nick Woltemade does the same. We can't play like that because it just narrows the pitch. We need to go at players. We need to pen them back, push them back, create problems for the opposition that we're playing against. And Anthony Elanga did that consistently in the second half, and it's the one real positive takeaway that I can take from that game. But as we said in the first half, myself and Chris, we're probably going to be rinse and repeat. We created chances. We could have had 4 in the second half. We created chance after chance, good chances. Elanga scores a great goal. I say unlucky. It was a poor miss, but the second one that was put into him and he puts it wide. There's another one before that where it's a lovely ball from Elanga. We saw again offside. How many times, man? Watch your line. How many years have you been a striker for? You watch your line. He just ghosts into offside positions time and time again. Watch your damn line, because Elanga plays a lovely ball through to him. He's in. He plays a nice ball down the middle to Barnes. Barnes, it's a lovely finish. It's a really nice goal. And that goal goes in. And I'm not saying we're going to win the tie, But I tell you what, we could have probably gone on and got a third off the back of that because our tails were up at that point. And it's like, just watch your damn line. But we created chances, lads. We cannot walk away from this game and say we didn't do it. We didn't create enough to do something in this tie. We absolutely did. And that's the biggest frustration that it took from the second half. The last thing I'll say is that the subs that Eddie Howe made in that second half, particularly the first three, when he brought on Wiesa, when he brought on Elanga, when he brought on Barnes, for me, that changed the game in the second half, because for me, they were better than what we had initially in the team. And I'll be honest with you, lads, that team that ended the game probably deserves to start on Saturday, if I'm being honest with you. That team, and deserves to go, you know what, you did it, go at it again.
Chris, any thoughts on the game as a whole?
Yeah, I was laughing actually when Elanga scored, because at the time I was my mates were talking to me about Anthony Elanga, and I was saying, you know, that he he's not got very much confidence at the moment. You know, he can't trap the ball. He's not very good at controlling it when he runs with it, and then he went and did that. I said literally that is the best thing Anthony Elanga has done since he pulled on a Newcastle shirt. But in all seriousness, fair play to him, because it was a really good finish. And Pete's right, it reminded me of the Nottingham Forest days. That is a goal that you would see him score at Nottingham Forest, and hopefully that gives him the little kick that he needs. I don't want to dwell too much on the missed chance, because that was pretty appalling. Not quite sure why he went with his right foot. I think he should have hit it with his left. But you know, these things happen. Harvey Barnes, really smart finish, but yeah, obviously given offsides. I thought that was really good from Barnes. I thought the opportunity had gone actually, but yeah, he just slotted it really calmly into the bottom corner. And bearing in mind how big James Trafford is, he still got to floor, and he was nowhere near it. Yeah, second half much improved, but as people in the chat are saying, which is right, obviously City did drop down to second gear, you could say. So maybe that did give us a bit more opportunity, you know, to kind of have an influence on the game. You can argue, you know, we won the second half because we did. Obviously, the game finished 3-1, but it was 3-0 at half time. So arguably, we did win the second half. But yeah, the game was done. And then obviously, City then bring on the likes of Cherky, Haaland, Rodri, just to kind of see the last 10-15 minutes out. But yeah, overall, disappointed. Obviously, it didn't feel watching it like it was, you know, current holders defending their trophy. It didn't feel like that. It felt like men versus boys, if I'm honest. But yeah, you know, as Pete and I said earlier, you know, 4 massive chances, and had that Marmoush one not gone in after 7 minutes, which I do feel was unlucky, maybe it could have been different. I don't know. I just felt tonight, and I think I said it on the top table talk through the week, we needed to get the first goal. We really, really did. And the fact that City scored it and then scored again and then scored again, it just made the rest of the game incredibly difficult to watch. But yeah, Anthony Elanga, well done, getting your finish. And obviously it was great to hear the away fans, you know, getting behind them. And also, not to sound bitter, but shame on Man City. What was it, like 80 minutes, and the stadium was like a third gone. 80
minutes? Talk about the minute of the game.
It might
it's everywhere, mate. Half of their fans didn't bother turning up.
Yeah, by the 80th minute, because that's when I happened to be looking at it, there was so many empty seats, and I'm thinking, you've just got through to a final. You know, you've just done really, really well against the current holders. And granted, they might not see the Carabao Cup as such a big deal, but you know, it's still getting to a final. It's still backing the players, thanking the manager, and I thought it was quite poignant at the end that, you know, Pep Guardiola was going around the pitch, and it just made me think, like, you don't deserve him. You really, really don't. And I think he made a point of doing that as if to say thank you to everybody who stayed. Do you know what I mean? Because people getting off early, I don't know. I just think it's bizarre. I think it's mental. But yeah, nice problem to have, I suppose.
They need a bit of dedication. Still only 108 days left in the season till the 24th of May. Bring it on. Right.
Just really quickly, just on the Elanga thing. I did think this myself, but big up to Joe in the chat. Forest fan Joe, been on the channel many a times. That miss from Elanga was a poor pass. If you look at it again, I did think that from Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes, he hesitates before he makes the pass. If he'd have played just a little bit earlier, he maybe would have been able to actually come onto it on his left foot, as you said, Chris. Just that a little bit better. But I mean, look, we still expect him to hit the target, but it wasn't the best pass. It was a hesitated pass from him. So it's a good spot from Duel on that. And a lot of people were replying when I was talking about the fact that we were creating chances in the second half, saying that, you know, Man City had shut up shop. They were already won the game. They absolutely did. I wasn't disputing that at all. Man City had sat back and gone, we're winning this game, we're cool. Yeah. But regardless of that, we still created enough chances to ask a question, to get maybe 2, maybe 3, not to win the tie, but to ask more questions. I mean, the one from Elanga where it comes to the back post and he plays it literally across the line. It's like, if you're Wiese, you're throwing everything in front of that to get onto it. And it just felt like he isn't doing enough to get something on it, to try and finish that off. There were other chances off the back of that as well. And we had chances to score a good 3 or 4 goals in that second half. But granted, people in the chat mentioning it, you're absolutely right. Is that, you know, Man City were, you know, they already felt like they were in the final, so they absolutely sat off and naturally. But Man City have been creating have been conceding a lot of chances recently anyway. And like you said, Chris, like, they're not great. We made them look much better than what they are. A better team tonight. You know, an Arsenal, for example, even like a Liverpool or a Chelsea, they probably scored 2 or 3 tonight. With Man City playing like that. That's the difference. Is that the quality of their finishes would have punished a team like Man City, and we didn't, and we haven't. That's been a big problem for Newcastle for a long time. But I just want to throw those couple of bits in there. So apologies.
No, that's cool, Pete. It is a reaction show after all. But I had a feeling things mightn't go our way and we mightn't get our miracle. We asked friend of the channel, can it get any worse?
It can.
We have let's pivot it to a different direction. And I know there's a few questions in the chat wanting us to talk about this as well. So I've clipped up the interview from the CEO today. Now there's about 6 talking points in. I've clipped up about 3. The first clip first, then I want to get your thoughts, lads. It'll link to some of the questions in the chat. So the first one is about the transfer window.
You know, look, I think we should differentiate between active and what results we produced. So I will tell you, this was an extraordinary transfer window in terms of activity. And we've got an amazing sporting director here in Ross Wilson. Let me tell you something. He's been my first call in the morning and my last call at night every day this month. And the activity has been incredibly high. We didn't find the right opportunity for an acquisition. We didn't make one, but we had the room to do so. We had the support to do so if we found the right addition that would have made sense. But what makes sense for us had a bunch of different facets to it, including making sure that we don't do anything that, you know, might compromise what we want to do this summer.
And what about the owners of that?
Okay, so that's our new CEO, David Hopkinson, who is in the job about 5 months. Already I'm getting Trump vibes off him about an extraordinary transfer window and trying to make Newcastle great again. But boys, there's a few questions in the chat, and I think they're related to maybe we'll just bring one up. And from Jumpers from Goalpost, he asked the question. Sorry, Chris, to jump in there.
No, do it, mate. Do it.
So let's kind of talk about this topic first. Who is talking shite regarding this transfer window? Mr. Howe or Mr. Hopkinson? And there's another one as well. Who's Lion Boys from I'm a Rascal in UFC in relation to this is linking back to Eddie Howe saying we don't have room to spend because of PSR related issues, and the CEO saying we were looking morning, noon, and night to find someone. If we had found the right person, we had the headroom to do that. Thoughts on that bit first?
Oh God. Look, I'm going to put it out there just really nice and early. I'm sick of the club talking. I just need action. Yeah. I need action. I'm just sick of hearing people telling us what we want to hear first and foremost. We need to see action from this club. And we clearly didn't get it in January. So we're going now to the summer with massive, for me, I'm going with big expectations. I really am. But I'll come back to that in a second. Who's talking rubbish? Well, the fact that the stories match up, I think they're both talking rubbish, if I'm being honest with you. The fact that the stories don't match up tells me that it feels like they're fobbing us off a little bit. They're trying to justify why they're not doing business in the window. I've told you boys before, this is a mistake. This is a mistake that will come back to bite us. And you mentioned it, Daz, in the kind of play-by-play of the game. Gordon gets injured. If it's genuine, if he's out for a long period of time, we're even further screwed than we were before, which is even more of a reason why we should have explored the market. Now, I think they know we should have explored the market. It is a big risk. Even Eddie Howe admitted it was a big risk to not go in January. So they're trying to get their ducks in order. And I think this is part of the reason why David Hopkinson's come out and spoken today. I think that's why he's having to come out and justify to the fans why Newcastle United haven't invested. And that in itself, lads, is the problem. It's because they shouldn't have to justify it. They should have done it. They're saving all their money for the summer, but it better be a good summer. Eddie Howe, look, Eddie Howe, should he be at fault for this? Talking about PSR, you could argue yes, but he's always the one that fronts this up. He's always the one that has to answer this question. So, like, he must get sick of it just as much as we get sick of hearing it all the time. He must get sick about being asked this question constantly. So he's just probably running out a line that he's been having to run out for the last God knows how many windows. Do you know how many windows we've actually signed a first team player in? We've signed a first team player in one window in the last 5. That in itself is unacceptable for a team like Newcastle United. They're expecting to be fighting at the top. One window in 5. In 5 windows have we gone out and actually intently gone to sign a first team ready player, not an average Vlachodimos. I'm not having that because we didn't want him in the first place, right? And he was 3rd choice, 4th choice at best. I'm talking about a bona fide first team player that's coming in and being a starter. 5 windows. And you're telling me that they couldn't invest in this window to top this squad up, to give them a boost, to give them something, give us something to be excited about. People will blame Eddie Howe for this comment, and fine. That's up to you. I can't blame him for it because he's always having to front this nonsense up because he's having to put up with it. For me, it should be on David Hopkinson. It should be on Ross Wilson because they're the ones that are allowing this to happen. They should have their ducks in an order. We've had enough nonsense in the summer without a CEO and a sporting director. Now we've got them. They should have their ducks in order to at least get this right, and they haven't got it right. So you could argue that both of them are responsible, but I'd maybe push it more to the CEO than anybody else.
Cheers, Pete. Chris, your thoughts on just that bit first of that interview on the transfer window stuff and the non-action or plenty of activity in the background, but no action.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest. I just don't know. And the reason I say that is because there's a severe lack of communication. Clearly. Because you've got your sporting director saying that, you've got plenty of money, we can spend that in January. You've then got your CEO coming out and saying, we've had a fantastic window, really, really busy, really, lots going on behind the scenes. One of the busiest. What was the quote? Something like, you wouldn't believe how busy we've been. And then you've got your manager fronting it out, saying, being asked a very direct question where he could have fudged it. He could have, tiptoed around it, and it was like, are you going to be bringing anyone in? And it was just no. And I think I said to you boys pre-show, didn't I? The thing that stood out for me with Eddie's the way Eddie was responding to the questions, particularly towards the end of the window, was the fact that he almost looked defeated. He almost looked disappointed. Now this comes back, boys, to a comment I made. It was either earlier this week or last week, and it was around the loan deals and the fact that, you know, we should be looking at the loan market. Why can't we look at the loan market? People will say, "Oh, but what about, you know, you've got to pay the money up front, etc." But this is why you've got your finance people, to be clever, to be intricate, to have all these little deals lined up. Maybe, you know, we'll scratch your back, you scratch ours, kind of thing. There's deals to be made out there. But for me, the loan market is something that we don't explore. And I have a strong feeling that's down to our manager and the way that, you know, we hear, oh, he needs to be Eddie Howe ready. He needs to be Eddie Howe fit. Eddie Howe wants to work with players and integrate them over a period of time. And that is why I'm convinced that we don't explore the loan market, because Eddie Howe doesn't want to explore the loan market. It doesn't actually, even though I suggested it at the start, it doesn't surprise me we didn't bring Matty Targett back. And the reason we probably didn't bring Matty Targett back isn't because we don't need the body, because we do, but it's probably for the fact that he's not been Eddie Howe fit. He's not Eddie Howe ready. So Eddie Howe's looking at it and going, well, he's not going to be fit till April, May, so there's no point. So the thing that worries me about it, boys, is the fact that it, again, and this isn't from Eddie Howe, this is more from David Hopkinson, as per the interview, it feels like you're having the wool pulled over your eyes. Opposition fans must be watching that and going, are they swallowing that? Are they really having that? Because to me, that is just well, what Pete said, that is just saying what people want to hear, or thinking that's what people want to hear. The last thing I want to hear after such a quiet window, when we're desperate for players to come through the door, is, oh, it was really busy. Oh, you should have seen how much work we did. Oh, really? And, you know, I'm first phone call of the day is with Ross Wilson. Last call of the day was, well, for what reason? What are you talking about? Because clearly you're not talking about this January transfer window, and clearly you've not been coming to the games and watching them. Maybe you have, but you're not seeing what we're seeing. And I'm hoping that he was there tonight to watch that and then think, oh, have we done the right thing in January? Because I would suggest not. And with Anthony Gordon pulling up, even more so.
Can I just give you... Sorry, that's gone. Can you go first, mate?
No. Go on. I was going to move on. You go next on this topic.
Yeah, I just kind of want to give you an example of what the problem is that we have with Newcastle United. And the problem we have with Newcastle United is case in point, Keith Smith, AZ Outmore, okay, was rumoured by multiple journalists that we were going to be actioning to try and sign him in January. We talked about it. We heard from multiple journalists all the way through, from as early as what, November? We'd heard about Keith Smith and the potential of signing him. Very, very clear all of a sudden in December that a lot of teams were after him, but a lot of teams were going to be after him in the summer. But if AZ Outmore was going to sell him, it was not going to be the 25 million reported. It was going to be then a little bit more expensive. It was going to be around 50 million.
Yeah.
Newcastle United are not going to be anywhere near Keith Smith in the summer, but they've identified him as a key player to sign as a top target. We're going to be nowhere near him. Have we not learned from Brian Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha from last season? Have we not learned that these teams in the summer also have more money to spend, but also Keeley have more wages to offer these players? And in addition to that, the way we're going at the moment, they're going to have European football to offer them too. So we're in a position where we can't haggle over, or it might not be, don't want to pay 50 million for him, this, that, and the other. If you want a player of his skill set and you believe he's right for the team, you need to do what Amanda Staley did in the window of January 2022, and you go and get someone like Keith Smith, because that's what we did with Bruno Guimaraes, who was destined for Arsenal in the summer. But we went, no, we'll pay the money now. We'll go and get him now when no one else can afford him, and we'll get him into the club.
We did it with Gordon the following year. Gordon the following year with the Everton deal.
The most important thing, I'm just referring to just from a midfield point of view, because the Bruno one was really key, and it is still key now to us. And it's a midfielder that I think we desperately need. Someone that offers a different skill set to improve this midfield. It's just a classic example of, oh, no, too much money, don't want to pay that in January. Okay, well, you're going to end up losing him, and then you're going to go back to the drawing board, and then you're going to be getting your third or fourth or fifth choice, just like we did last summer. And we're going to be back to square one again. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes you have to push the boat out to go, you know what? He's going to be a top player in 3 or 4 years' time, and actually he can develop that and add something to us now. Let's go pay the money whilst we can, whilst we're still playing Champions League football, and we have something to offer him and a pathway, and go and get that deal and really let people know that teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona that are after him, that we can still attract these players to Newcastle United. Because I'm going to be deadly serious with you. If we're not playing European football, right, next season, you're looking around and you're looking at a case of, at the moment, no training ground, no stadium, no optimism, question marks about the manager. Will the manager even be here next season? What player in their right mind is going to come to Newcastle United with all of that hanging over the club's head? Who is going to be attracted to Newcastle United off the back of that? Because I tell you what, Bruno Guimaraes wasn't attracted to Newcastle United for that. Alexander Isak wasn't attracted to Newcastle United for that. Neither was Sven Botman. Neither was Tino Livramento. And certainly Sandro Tonali was not attracted to that level of Newcastle United. So what we're then going to be looking at is that we're not going to be in that ballpark anymore. We can't compete in that ballpark. Not because in the summer we don't have the money to compete, but the problem is that the overall look of the club isn't enough to compete with some of these teams. Now, we laughed at Man United going into the end of last season. They're going to struggle, blah, blah, blah. Look at what they've attracted. But now look at what they're now producing with a proper manager that actually plays a style that suits the team. Now look at those players flourishing. And they'll probably get Champions League football. And then they're going to be right back at the table looking at every single signing that Newcastle United are looking in. Because we're going to be in the same ballpark again. You know what? We're going to be losing out again to the same type of players. It's a mistake that we continue to make. And we had to push the boat out this window. We had to, and we didn't. I'm saying it now. And I don't want to be right come May and June. But I really feel like I'm going to be. And it's going to be an absolutely monumental mistake that we did not improve this team in January. Because I'll be honest, lads, we're projected right now to play minimum 55 games this season. This squad is not up to playing 55 games this season. You look at players tonight that are already out of their feet.
Over.
And they've got a game on Saturday, and then a game on Tuesday, and then back to the weekend again. We are being ran through the mill, and these players needed help. It is an absolute neglect that Newcastle United did not strengthen this more. And I'll go back to the point. Maybe I was. Someone said in the chat, maybe I think it was Iniesta. Maybe I'm being too nice to Eddie Howe. Maybe he does need to take the L on this. Maybe he does need to take responsibility. But I tell you what, the new CEO and the sporting director absolutely need to take responsibility to this. James Bunce needs to take a responsibility for this, because he should be looking around and going, these players are running on empty. We need help here. Get players in to accompany what we've already got. So the whole lot need to take an L. The whole lot need to take responsibility. They're probably all equally responsible, because each one of them in their role has failed this team. And it could cost us European football in whatever form. And if it does, and we lose out on European football, we are back to square one again. We are absolutely. And we are Newcastle United, the yo-yo football club. And that's what we didn't want to be.
No, that's some great points there, Pete. And with that in mind, I want to play another clip. And this is now all credit to ambition for a CEO who's 5 months in the job. But just listen to this.
2030.
Yeah, Alex, the number one thing I talk to about ownership with is ambition. That's the magic word here, making sure that we've got the correct ambition and we have total alignment on that. This is a club that by 2030 will be consistently contending for the top prizes in global football. We've got a lot of wood to chop between here and there.
How are you going to do that, David? I was going to ask you that. What makes you so confident?
When I think about Newcastle United, everywhere I look, I see opportunity.
Now, this is our CEO I'd like to have whatever he's smoking, because there's 47 months until 2030. There's 7 transfer windows, and yet we're going to be where he says we're going to be in that space of time. How is that possible? It is not. It's impossible. It's even less possible than it was for us. It was to turn this around tonight. I think it's a ridiculous statement, if you ask me. All credit to the ambition, and he has to have something positive out there. But it's setting them up for a fail, if you ask me. Setting up that high a marker at this stage. But boys, what's your thoughts on the statements that on the ambition he has for Newcastle, or what he's been told to say, what he's been brought in? This is where I refer back to the Trump statement and making Newcastle great again.
It's late for it.
So I agreed with one part and I disagreed with the other, which may shock you. So the part that I vehemently disagreed with was the fact that by 2030 we're going to be competing for all the major trophies in football, because I don't see that. Yes, you can say, oh, well done on his ambition and stuff like that, but I suppose he has to say that, really, doesn't he? The part I agree with on, funnily enough, but there is a caveat to it. The part that I agree on is where he says that there is opportunity everywhere he looks at Newcastle. And I agree with that. Yeah. But the problem is, there's no action. There's been opportunity to build a new stadium. There's been opportunity to build a new training ground. There's been opportunity to spend in the January transfer window. There's been opportunity to get in new sponsors to increase revenue. But we haven't done any of it. And as CEO, as sporting director, as manager, whichever role you play at the club, we need to see action. And hearing these words is all well and good. And you know what, boys? Maybe we'd have felt a lot different if we were sitting second or third in the Premier League. If we were sitting where Villa are, or maybe where Chelsea are, or, Man City are, we might be looking at this and going, oh, can't wait. Oh, this is brilliant. We're 11th in the league. We're 11th in the league. And we're playing appallingly. And our manager, I would argue, is on the ropes. I think, people are really starting to question him. This has been going on for the majority of the season. We bunched together a few good results, and then we just collapse. One of our best players in Sandro Tonali was linked away. Yes, people have come out in the last 24, 48 hours and said, oh no, he's really happy here. No, he doesn't. No. He's not looking to go anywhere. He hasn't told me that. And it's like, well, But why has that rumour come out? Why has that smoke screen come out? Why are we even talking about it? So that tells its own story. And to lead on to what you said earlier, Pete, this is all on the proviso that, next season we have Champions League football, Europa League football, Europa Conference League football. I don't think we'll have any European football based on what we're seeing at the moment. I came into this season with really, really high hopes. We've just sold arguably our best player in the summer. We've brought in all this money with the promise that, we were going to kick on. We need to put him behind us. We're still talking about him. I don't mean us as a fan base. I mean, our manager, coming out at every press conference. Oh, well, without Alex, we're not quite there. And when you lose a player of Alexander Isak's quality, it's February. And he's not even playing. He's injured. So all these things, and you piece them all together. Statements like that from the CEO do not help. They don't help because it just makes him look deluded. So yes, I agree there is lots and lots of opportunity, but we're not capitalizing on it. And that's the problem. That's why people are upset. That's why, we're all so frustrated. If he was coming out with that statement and we just spent 100 million in the January transfer window, and it's not to do with money, but let's say we brought in 3 or 4 new players, everyone would be like, yes, come on. And we've backed that up this January transfer window. We're trying to kick on. Even the likes of Aston Villa, who, and I know I keep quoting them, they've went and got a couple of signings to shake things up. They're in the top 3 and they want to stay in that top 5. So they took a gamble. They've shook things up. They've moved players on that they don't want anymore or that they don't think are going to take them forward. And they've gambled. And it's like, why can't we do that? Imagine this window if we've been really cutthroat and we went, right, Joe Willock, been great, thanks very much. I'm trying to think of another player off the top of my head. Will Asula, it's not going to work out here, but thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah.
Anthony Gordon.
Even if we took a gamble like that and then went, right, we'll have him, and him. Where are they on the list? Or where are we? Right, okay, yeah, maybe third or fourth on the list, but we can do the deal. Let's bring him in. Or a Keith Smith, like you said, Pete. Take the gamble. Take the gamble. And if you're that convinced on the player, take the gamble. Because as you rightly say, if we go and knock on Keith Smith's agent's door in the summer with no European football, we'll just get laughed at. We'll get absolutely laughed at. There's no way we're going to sign someone like Keith Smith in the summer and anyone of any value. And we could end up losing 2 or 3 really good players. And I'm going to mention Sandro Tonali, Tino Livramento, Anthony Gordon, as you've just said. Who's going to want to come in and replace them? Because we're not going to get equal value or equal quality. Because everyone will go, oh, you got European football. No, you got no European football. Your training ground's a bit shit. The fans aren't very happy. Your manager's on the ropes. No, you're all right. I'll go elsewhere. And that's the problem. Sorry for going on.
Pete, I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to give you a football manager related question. It's a challenge. You're taking over the manager, Newcastle. You have 7 transfer windows to make Newcastle a powerhouse in the game, and alongside Real Madrid, maybe PSG. Is it possible in the real world?
In the real world, I think it's a big ask. I think the ask is bigger than the reality. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think the ask of what he wants to do is bigger than what the reality would suggest is the case. Now, first and foremost, David Hopkinson's got it wrong. Not in what he said, but when he said it. Because for me, timing is everything. If he'd have said this in June 2026, when we're announcing our training ground and our brand new training sponsor, and everything's looking rosy because we're getting all these big things in. And then he says on the back of that, this is the plan. Everyone will go, okay, show me what you got in the summer. And then he backs it up in the summer with signings, etc. And you're going, okay, fair enough. You can't make a comment like that off the back of a 0 transfer January window. And as both of you have said, sitting 11th in the Premier League. It is the worst time to be putting comments out like that because he clearly doesn't agree. Not agree. He doesn't understand is the word I'm trying to say. Newcastle United fans, because Newcastle United fans have been here for a long time. We've been here and seen a lot of crap. We've been here and heard a lot of crap. We'll see through that. And a lot of Newcastle United fans are already seeing through it right now. I'm not saying he hasn't got the ambition. I like the ambition. I like the fact that he wants us to be there. I liked the fact that when what's his name, the presenter, Jim White. When Jim White turned around and says, where do you see him in 10 years? He goes, no, not 10 years, 5 years. I like all of what he's saying. But the timing of him saying it is all wrong. He's saying it on the day of a game where we knew we were going to go out the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. He's saying it after a 0 January window, and he's saying it when we're having a poor football season. Say it at the beginning of a new start to a new season, when he's backed it up with some sponsorships, when he's backed it up with some training grounds kit, when he's sponsored, when hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got a new front of shirt sponsor with a much bigger deal, and we can justify it because he can go, here you go, here's what we're providing, and here's where we see ourselves, and we can actually ride along with it. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. The timing is wrong, right? And with the time he's now got to do that, these lads have got to get to work. They've got to get to work quickly. And it starts this summer. I've said it to you before, and I'll say it again. For me, I don't expect much from this season. The only thing that I ask from Newcastle United and the players between now and the end of the season is just get some form of European football. We cannot afford to have a yo-yo season again without European football. We have to be a team that's consistently getting any form of European football. As we've said, we use Villa as an example because Villa are toe-to-toe with us in terms of progression. They're on the back of very close to putting 4 years of European football in any form back to back to back to back. That's what Newcastle United should be doing. And so we have to get some form of European football. It's the only thing I ask from Newcastle United this season. It's the only thing I'm expecting. I'm still going to expect up and down performances. I'm still going to expect more injuries because of the games that we're playing. But what I do expect is that we put enough good form together that we get some form. I'll take Europa Conference. I'll take Europa League. I'll take it. It's not ideal, but I'll take it to ensure that we're still playing European football and we're playing this 3-game a week and we can get into a rhythm of being able to actually play it, because this is proven again that for now 2 years in European football now that we have struggled and we've not been able to cope. We've not been able to cope with the extra games. We need to be able to cope if we are long-term going to be able to manage at the top table. We have to be able to play in Europe every year. And even if it takes us getting a Europa League or Europa Conference to help build us there, then we take it. But without any European football, for me, it's a failure of a season. It already is partly a failure, but it'll be absolute failure if we don't get European football. So he's said a lot, which is great, but he has to start backing that up, and it starts the moment that we kick off final ball at the end of the season, at the back end of May. It starts then. I need to see new sponsorships. I need to see an announcement, if not before, of a new training ground. And more importantly, lads, I need to see that they're actually backing the manager, whoever it may be, with serious signings to really build this squad to take us forward. They keep mentioning even they're mentioning a transitional season now. Eddie Howe's mentioned it. People in the media are starting to mention transitional. It's clearly getting out there as a feeling. It can't be a transitional season for a second season. We have to kick on.
Yeah, no, you're right, boys. But I tell you, Yasser really needs to get the finger out, and all his team do as well, to try and achieve this 2030 ambition that they've now laid down a marker to. Right, I want to go to one other comment, and it is about Eddie Howe. A lot of people in the chat calling for Eddie Howe out, or it's time to go, his time is up, blah blah blah. But this is what David Hopkinson thinks of Eddie Howe, and maybe we'll get some thoughts here then.
To rate that whole program.
David, the show White and Jordan, Simon Jordan is the other part of the show. He's not with us today. Vastly experienced, loves Eddie Howe, but thinks that maybe Eddie, with all due respect to Eddie, and he's interviewed and spoken to him about this on this subject, maybe Eddie isn't the man to be at Newcastle United to win the big baubles. Maybe it'd be somebody else, not Eddie. Is Eddie, in your eyes, the man to steer you through this 2030 vision that you have?
Eddie's our manager. Eddie's an extraordinary manager. We just talked about how much he's envied by other clubs and the national program. So with all due respect to Simon, I could not disagree more. And then I guess he won't be going to work with Simon anytime soon.
No, he's the CEO. He can't throw Eddie under the bus. He's the same in the pod of the time. He's only got good things to say about Eddie, and there is a lot of good things to say about Eddie Howe, but surely we're getting to a stage now where Eddie Howe's job is potentially on the line come the summer, with the season we've had, not being able to win away, and it's just it is fading away the season. Of course, yeah, we're still in the Champions League. We are still in the FA Cup. We have to play Villa away from home, not great away from home. Remember, but thoughts on I suppose the CEO's view on Eddie Howe.
I thought it was interesting. I hadn't seen that part of the interview. I'd only seen other clips and a couple that you'd shown there. I thought it was interesting how he asked about his opening sentence when asked about Eddie Howe is Eddie Howe is the manager. Not to me, that wasn't, that was very matter of fact. it didn't strike me as, you know, complete back. And I agree with what you're saying, Daz, in terms of, you know, he's not gonna speak, he's not gonna say, is he? Oh, I don't know. Let's see what happens. He's not gonna say that. But to me, the wording of that was Eddie Howe's the manager. So as of right now, Eddie Howe is the manager, but that's not to say that won't change. And then he talks very, you know, well about Eddie Howe, and that, you know, and rightly so. You know, there are people out there who admire Eddie Howe, whether that be, you know, maybe the clubs or the caliber of clubs that maybe we want to be. I don't know, but Eddie Howe is a good manager. There's no two ways about it. Eddie Howe is a good manager. But is Eddie Howe an elite manager? Is Eddie Howe going to be able to take us to that next level? And more importantly, boys, which we've spoken about, is Eddie Howe got the energy to take us to the next level? So it's even taking aside our opinion on him, or, you know, what we think of him as a manager. Has he got the energy in him? Has he got that, you know, energy to be able to kind of rip the rule book up and start again? Because it does feel like that's what's happening. And it just made me think, you know, with the whole Isaac talk and having to, you know, find a way of making this team work, find a way of getting us to a certain level. And I have to say, you know, we're now in February, like I say, and the players that we've brought in haven't hit the ground running. Malik Chow maybe being the exception, but I don't know. I didn't see that clip and think, oh yeah, he's backing Eddie Howe 100%. Personally, I didn't see that. That opening line for me was quite telling in terms of Eddie Howe as the manager, because at the moment he is the manager, but that's not to say that might not change. And of course, you know, we've got you know, a big summer ahead in terms of, you know, England and finding out what goes on with England, because who knows, it could be that if Thomas Tuchel doesn't do the business with England, maybe they'll be looking for the new manager, and maybe they'll be looking towards Eddie Howe, and maybe Eddie Howe might fancy it. I don't know, but yeah, I think if we finish outside the European places, I do think that there will be at least a meeting or a discussion had over it, because that isn't progress. That's not even maintaining it. That's literally taking a step forward and taking 2 or 3 steps back. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the comments anyway.
Pete, what's the vibe you get off David Hopkinson on his comments towards Eddie Howe?
Yeah, I mean, a few people in the chat have... I was just going through whilst Chris was talking, just looking for some really good questions actually from people in the chat. Some good super chats that we'll come to as well in just a second. But yeah, I mean, look, he kind of has to say it at this point, you know, in one sense. But I actually got the vibe that what he was saying, he actually means. It didn't feel like it was a kind of just a script that he was going by. The way he actually spoke, you kind of felt like he really means it, like he means that Eddie Howe is the guy. And that was the vibe that I got. Now, look, overall, I would love Eddie Howe to get it right. I would absolutely love it, because it's what he's done for us and where he's taken us to, and he's got us a trophy. I would love for him to get it right. He is not getting it right at the moment. It is absolutely clear. I don't think anyone could argue that. There might be reasons and caveats to why that's not happening, but he isn't getting it right. For me, and I've said this to you before, boys, I said it to you last season, and I said it to you at the beginning of this season, European football is a non-negotiable for me. It's a non-negotiable. Newcastle United have to be playing European football in whatever form. People might turn their nose up to Conference League. That's fine when we're fighting for Champions League. But in 11th place right now, if you're giving me Europa Conference, I'm shaking your hand and I'm ending the season, because I'm not convinced that we can put enough consistent form together to be even in the European conversations. And that's just my feeling right now as a Newcastle United fan. I'm not convinced that we're consistent enough to be there. But if we're not there, then absolutely question marks need to be asked of Eddie Howe, because yes, the squad's not big enough, etc., but it should be still strong enough to get Europa Conference at minimum, especially when you're looking at the teams around us like Sunderland and Brentford that haven't got the squads nowhere near our ability. I don't care about them playing one game a week. Our squad's better than theirs. The Evertons, the Fulhams, our squads are better than theirs. They should not be getting those positions ahead of Newcastle United, in my opinion. For the money that we've invested, for the players that we've got in this squad, we should be performing better. We are underperforming in the Premier League. For me, it starts Saturday. Tough game. They're in good form, Brentford, but we still should be winning it because we're at home at St. James's Park. There's no other expectation for me other than a win. We have to win that game. I don't care who's on the pitch. They need to turn up. They need to win. Non-negotiable European football. If we don't get it, the pelters that might well come Eddie Howe's way, and it might be worse than what we're seeing right now, for me, it'll be justified because there's no other expectation than European football at minimum. Will he leave in the summer? I've said it to you boys before. Chris has mentioned it. You've mentioned it, Daz. For me, I don't think Newcastle United sack him. This is why I've never gone on and talked about Eddie Howe out in any form of detail, because I don't believe they'll sack him. His comments today from David Hopkinson strengthens my feelings on that. But doesn't mean that he doesn't leave. Doesn't mean that he doesn't leave. I still feel that England, if they will come calling, I'm convinced of it. Thomas Tuchel can win the World Cup. He can get knocked out just after the group stages. He's going to leave anyway, in my opinion. He's going to go to club football. He will be approached by England at some point in the summer. It's whether he takes it or not. That's the kicker. That's the only way, in my opinion, that Eddie Howe leaves Newcastle United this year.
That's the last of the clips I clipped up. But a few more topics that. Sorry.
What about you? Come on.
Oh, I don't answer the questions.
No. Well, we're asking you. We're asking you, fella. What are your thoughts on it? Because obviously you got the clips ready.
Yeah.
You played the clips, great clips. Gives us a bit more of an insight into it so we can answer it effectively. But I want to know your opinion. Where are you at?
Like you, I want Eddie Howe to succeed. I've said I've given him to the end of the season or until we're out of everything to cast my judgment, my final judgment on whether I think he should stay or go. But no, look, it's not looking pretty the way things are going. I don't think we're going to get through in the FA Cup. I think we're going to get through to the next round of the Champions League. If it's Chelsea, I think we can beat Chelsea as well. If it's Barca, I think we're going out. I also think that whoever the manager is, it's half a rebuild because I believe Sandro Tonali is on his way out, because that's another comment he goes on to. But I don't. But I believe Sandro Tonali is going. That's just my opinion. The way things have been panning out, it's the start of that saga now to put into the progress. And I think there could be a few more at Gordon as well. When we're not in the Champions League, and depending on if we're in even in the other European competitions, mightn't be enough for the Gordon or Tonali, let's say. And then who do we want for that rebuild? Maybe if it is a rebuild, maybe it's a fresh approach across the board. But as I said, I'm not giving my final judgment until we're out of everything and everything is done and dusted. If it could end the season now, I would, because it's been a bit of a disaster from even before a ball was kicked. So that's my whole answer. It's a political answer in that one maybe, but that's my answer. Another topic you brought up was the stadium, and again we're none the wiser whether it's going to be an extension or a complete rebuild. And no, he didn't show any cards there on that front. But
I thought he did.
Kicking the can down the what? You thought he did?
Yeah, I did.
It's more towards an extension than
that's my feeling. Honestly, yeah, that was my feeling, Daz. But listening to that today, it seems like the way he was talking in terms of, extending by 10,000 up to sort of 15,000, looking at up to 68,000 capacity. It didn't feel to me like, but when he did talk about a different site, but it was very passive in the way that he mentioned it. But it was more towards like a regen that he was, or I think he referred to it as a reno, like as in a renovation of the stadium.
It's a fucking Renault here, all right now. It's definitely not Lamborghini. It's a Renault where we're in at this moment. No offense to anyone that drives a Renault.
That was
yeah, I rest my case. You're right.
That bloody Wi-Fi is a Renault. You keep freezing, man.
And your mic, Chris. Your mic is a Renault as well.
It's everything's a Renault. That's why I've got a Renault.
Joking. But it's all jokes here. That was just my feeling. Is that I think because the stadium speaking has just gone dead, like nobody's talking about it, and we've got nothing from the club for over a year now. It just feels like they're looking at a renovation, like 68,000 potentially. Okay.
It's saga keeps going and going and going.
It does keep going. It does.
To me, then it just goes. This is going on and on and on. Is something happening in the background? Is this man and PIF planning to get out of town here? You know, I'm that worried about what's happening here. That they may be having second thoughts and thinking that we're shut down everywhere we turn here with PSR and blockages in the Premier League. It's too difficult to get to where they want to be. So maybe they'll ship off to Italy and go at it from another angle. That's the big worry. And then who would they leave us with? Who would take us on from there? Because we're not going to be the same ball game.
We need to start now. We can't we can't start building in 2029, 2030. Like we need revenue. We need it yesterday. Get the stadium announced. Get the spades in the ground. Okay, as I think Mr. Linkfield said, waiting on things being signed off. That's fine. That needs to take its time. But they need to be active. Once they get that signed off, everything else needs to be quick. But there's no excuse for the training ground, lads. There is no excuse for the training ground. It seems like they've already identified their plot on where they're going to be. They would know what they want from it. There is no reason why this can't be announced and getting started now. Right? There's no reason why.
Show me the money.
Yeah, exactly. Forget adding to what they're doing. Start building a brand new state-of-the-art world-class one right now. People don't realize. Some people don't realize that's another attractive point when you're trying to sign a player. You're going to be coming to a stadium and you're going to be playing in a training ground that's going to be the best in the world, world-class facilities, right? You know what made me laugh today? Going off topic slightly. Jamal Lascelles in his interview for Leicester talking about coming to a good club, we've got good history, world-class facilities. And I'm just like, he's actually training in better facilities than he was in Newcastle. He actually is. I've seen it. It's absolutely world-class. And I'm just like,
Mr. Wheelie Bins.
Yeah, he must think it's his birthday walking into that training ground every day for the last couple of days, training in that facility. That's what we should be attracting players to come and play for us, to go, this is what we're at. Remember that classic, missing out on Luka Modric because our training ground was nowhere near the level of Tottenham's. It's the difference between quality players coming to you. It can be a selling factor. So they need to get to work. Honestly, they're putting more pressure on themselves, lads. They're putting more pressure on themselves because they're trying to bunch this all up. Yeah. And this is either going to be a monumental summer where all of this stuff unravels and we get signings and it looks great and rosy, or it could be a rinse and repeat of last summer. I'll be honest, lads, and I know you feel the same. I ain't got the energy for that. I have not got the energy for another summer like that. I just haven't.
Yeah, I'm with you there for sure. Boys, I think we should go into some comments and questions from the chat. I know we've gone through a few already, but there's some super chats in there as well. What do we got first, Chris?
There absolutely is. A big shout out to everyone who's given us a super chat. Much appreciated. The first one was from Chapaz. Thank you very much, Chapaz. And Chapaz says, Newcastle Falcons rugby by Red Bull. They have brought in a whole new team, still bottom of the Prem. big names mean nothing, lads. And do you know what, Chappers? It's a great point. And yeah, I'm not necessarily asking the owners to throw, £1 billion at it or sell 12 and bring in 15 or anything like that. But there's still a lot of players in this squad that need upgrading. I mean, just off the top of my head, the likes of a Kieran Trippier, for example, who's coming towards the end of his career. Some people will say he should have left last year. Some people say he should have left the year before. Then you've got the likes of Emil Kraft. Jamal Lascelles has only just left. You've got Matty Target, who's currently out on loan. You've got Joe Willock. You've got Will Asula, who looks like he's not going to be able to make it. You've got Jacob Murphy, who we've had since, the Steve Bruce, the Rafa days. A very, very long time that we've had him. I'm probably missing some there, but, clearly there is room for improvement in this squad. And some would argue that the squad isn't big enough as it currently is. So if anything, it's just showing a bit of ambition and trying to move those players on. We remember in October 2021 when we got taken over, and we were thinking, it's not going to happen overnight, but soon we'll be able to kind of turn these players over, bring new ones in, and we slowly started seeing that, and we knew that we had to take our time, etc. But don't forget, boys, we're in our fifth year this year. In October, we'll have been taken over 5 years ago. No new training ground, no new stadium. Still got players from way back when. So we can't get sponsorship deals over the line. Another thing, I'm going slightly off topic here. Who was that fella that got brought in? One of the directors, Brad something. Can't think of his surname. He was brought in to deliver us a new stadium.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
He was. That was this time last year. So he's been in position for a year, and that was on the proviso. That was when it was close to being. Brad Miller, that's it. Yesterday, that was when it was rumored to be close to being announced, the new stadium. But it's a valid point. What is he doing if we're not signing anything up?
Yeah, it's crazy. And Chapaz comes in with another super chat. Thank you, Chapaz. He says, looking forward to the Six Nations to stop the depression. Wales getting smashed. Come on, England. I'll have to defer to one of you boys. I don't follow the rugby, so I'll have to defer. Daz, you sound like you're a bit of a rugby fan.
No, I don't follow rugby that well, but Ireland usually have a cracking team. This is the only thing we're actually good at now. It used to be Eurovision, now it's rugby. So you never know.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you, Chapos, deferring to rugby. I really don't, mate. The way the football is, and not just Newcastle, by the way, in terms of. You speak to most fans in the Premier League and they say that, the football isn't quite what it used to be. And I can kind of see where they're coming from. Chegmeister, thank you also for your super chat. Chegmeister says, we need to strengthen nearly every position in the summer and likely to replace Tonali and Tino. Add to that the uncertainty around Howe. It's a lot, guys. Pete, what are your thoughts on Chegmeister? I think he's spot on there.
Yeah, he's spot on in terms of every position. We need a new goalkeeper. We need a new centre-back. We need at least one full-back. We need a centre midfielder, maybe two if Tonali leaves. We need multiple wingers. we need another striker. You're absolutely spot on. The one thing I disagree with, I'm actually kind of leaning more towards Tino staying for another season.
I'd love him to. But if City come in,
I don't see City signing Tonali and Tino in the same window. I don't see them.
Do you think they're getting Tonali?
I think they'll be well within the shout now. Interestingly, Pep and Tonali were in embrace after the game, which has got tongues wagging. Craig Hope has put out a video on that. And he has answered the question to it because he was asked. And Craig Hope, I think, if I got the right comment here, yes. Pep Guardiola says on Sado Tonali exchange, my Italian is perfect, so that's why I can communicate with him. We have a friend in common in Brescia. Every time we are connected, all three through him. I know his father a long time ago all the time we met, we talk about AC Milan, the supporters, and how happy he is here in Newcastle. He's a really top player, a top player. It doesn't seem too much different to what he does with Bruno Guimaraes. I've got to be honest. He does that with him. Bruno hasn't left as yet. But yeah, I like the fact that he's dropped in there, that he's very happy at Newcastle. I think that's an interesting twist in that exchange. But honestly, if it's not City, someone else will come in for him. He will have suited in the summer. We will have to reject. We will have to reject approaches from teams this summer. I do think it's almost like the long-term injuries that Tino suffered this year, both of them, may well have gone against him for teams advancing for him this season. Now, I could be wrong. He could come back and have a great end to the season and a great World Cup, and it might be a different story. But there's a question mark there. There's a question mark on his availability. And when Newcastle are commanding anywhere between 60 and 70 million, and rightly so because of his ability, I think teams will go, can we justify that if he's then out for 7-8 weeks a couple of times in the season? I think that might be something that puts teams off. And this is just me at this moment in February 2026. This is just how I'm feeling. At this point, it's a case of, I think, let's wait and see if he gives Newcastle a full season of fitness, and then maybe come and revisit it afterwards. So even if he does sign a new contract, they could maybe revisit it another season. So at this moment in time, I'm thinking Tino may well stay, but Tonali will definitely have suitors. Whether he goes or not, I don't know. It's going to cost a lot of money to get him. But I think if a PSG, for example, and I spoke to Lee before, and he says from what he's hearing, they've been interested in Tonali for a while, and that's not been one in the news either. Tonali is of interest to PSG. He's been talking to me about it for a long while, since before Christmas. And if they've got the money to put that down, if they put 80 to 90 million down, I think Newcastle have got a serious question to answer, because I'm not sure that they can deny that sort of money for Sandro Tonali. They could, but I'm not sure they would.
I don't think they'd deny the money, Pete, and I also don't think they'd stand in his way, given the caliber of club PSG are. And then if we turn around to Sandro and go, "Oh, give us another year," and he's like, "There's no European football."
Yeah, we've got no justification.
What are you meant to do?
Yeah, no justification. We don't have a leg to stand on. With a player like Tonali, we don't have a leg to stand on. We don't. We can't justify it. The other one I would have said would be Botman, but he's staying now because he signed a new contract. He ain't going anywhere. Tino Livramento, I think, could probably give us a new season for the reasons I've just said. Other than that, I don't see anyone leaving that I wouldn't be upset about them leaving. If Gordon leaves, okay. If Murphy leaves, okay. I'm not fussed. I'm not fussed.
Alex or Jacob?
Both.
Damn
it. There's other players in the team. I'm not really fussed. Obviously, Bruno is the constant. He needs to stay, and I believe he will. But I'm looking around. I'm just like, other than the likes of Tonali and such, I'm looking around. I'm thinking, other than that, I'm not really fussed. If we get a good enough fee for him, go. We'll reinvest. Simple.
I think the two that stand out for me these days, the two that I would really, really not want to lose, and there's only two, it would be Bruno and Hall. They'd be the two. I'd be very upset if we sold either of those two, and I hope we don't.
I don't think Hall's going anywhere. I don't think so.
Yeah.
If anything, mate, we're going to give him a bumper contract.
Yeah, and he deserves it. He deserves it.
I think, you know what, someone like him deserves a bumper contract, and there's a few players coming out of that leadership group. I'd be inclined to add him to it and go, "You're here for the long haul. You're here for the long haul, my friend. Come and be part of our leadership group and start building yourself as a leader." Because that responsibility, because I tell you what, he plays like it.
Yeah, he does.
The responsibility, again, Had another great game. I thought he played well tonight.
Yeah, he did.
With the leadership he shows on the pitch, that's what we need. We need those players that know what this club means to them. Miley as well. Miley. He's already won the
one. Yeah, Miley another one.
Give him a
leading this team because they know what it means to play for Newcastle United. Get them in, get them involved in it, get them building their responsibility. But equally, it builds a responsibility to the club, so it's going to help them to knit themselves into the fabric of Newcastle and not want to look elsewhere. So it works kind of both ways. We did it with Bruno, successful. Now can we bring those young lads in? They'll be 22, 20, Miley will be 20, Hall will be 22. Bring them in. Get them involved in it nice and early.
Yeah. And then the last super chat, again, is from Chapaz. Thank you, Chapaz. And I kind of know where he's going with this. Chapaz says, Arnold Schwarzenegger became 7 times Olympia world champion training in Gold's Gym, which wasn't super duper. It's in the person, lads. And I think what Chapaz is trying to say there, Daz, he's saying, you know, you don't need the facilities. The facilities help in terms of attracting people to your club. And a bit like Bruno Guimaraes, they come to the club, they fall in love with the club, the city, the fans, everything about the club. I think from our perspective, Chapaz, it's about, you know, being able to attract those players. But do you think he's right there, Daz, in terms of, you know, and maybe what he's trying to say is we need more from the players, not just everything pointing at the manager.
Yeah, and then the facilities and so on and so forth. Yeah, I get it. It's kind of a I suppose we have that in the players that we look to bring in as well. We would have to pass the no dickhead policy as well that we kind of have. But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, bring him back. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Bring back Arnie.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a great quote. Who's your daddy?
Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, classic show.
I like that, Daz. I like that. And Pete, you'll like this comment from Jumpers for Goalposts. Jumpers for Goalposts says, for fuck's sake, lads, they built the Royal Rumble Stadium in 4 weeks.
I've had this question. I've spoke about this. Like, that is unbelievable. And that stadium was fantastic, like for the event. The event, on the other hand, wasn't fantastic, but the stadium that they built in 4 weeks was brilliant. Was really, really good. And you know, is it out there was a possibility that they could build something on Town Moor or something whilst the St James's is being regenerated or rejuvenated in whatever way, whatever you want to call it, and they could build a temporary stadium, should we say, that could play football matches on there. Someone came back to me and was like, maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't be able to do it that quickly because of the labour in the UK. Obviously, the labour that they use, supposedly, allegedly, is a lot more effective and a lot quicker. UK rules might be slightly more expensive. Was what I was told off the back of that. But yeah, brilliant stadium. I can't remember how many it held, but it was a lot. And they did that in, I think it was under a month. Just under a month they built that stadium. It was multi-thousand seater stadium. So yeah, not out the realms of possibility, but would they do it? That's the £52,000 question or seater question of the stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask a few more questions before we wrap, boys, but only a couple more. Let me see. Where are we? There was one I really liked. Yeah, this is an interesting one from Lempton. Lempton says, a word on Eddie, never playing kids. Even when the game is gone, he won't play them. Just talented lads like Shahar rotting away. Interesting point from Lempton, because I must admit, when it went 3-0, I was thinking at half-time, get Hall off, get Tonali off, and arguably get Gordon off. As it turned out.
He did that himself.
Yeah, he did it himself. But, you know, I then looked at the bench and I was like, well, we've got Sean Neve there. We've got Leo Shahar. And it was this not the game to just throw them on and just give them a little run out, give them an opportunity, maybe to raise some eyebrows. Alex Murphy, another one. Do you think that's a fair observation to make, Pete, from Lempton, in terms of giving players an opportunity just to give them half an hour against the top side like City?
Had it not been 3-0 or 3-1, I think, yeah, probably. But there's a chance by bringing those players on that it weakens your team overall, and you're almost throwing them to the wolves. And if Man City had then got another couple of goals, it's an even worse look on Newcastle United, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare debut for them, and you want it to be in better circumstances. Like, I'd much rather those type of players come on Saturday when we're 3-0 up against Brentford with 10 minutes to go and get run out there. That's what I'd much rather. I'd even rather Alex Murphy come on for Hall at that point and get run out. That would be something. But no,
would he do that though, Pete? Would he do that? Because history tells us that he wouldn't do that.
Well, history tells us that we haven't been 3-0 up, mate. So that's
true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's the problem. Is that we've not been 3-0 up to see it. I remember one of the last times. I think, did Alex Murphy make his debut? But there was a couple of other lads that made their debut. You know, when we beat Chelsea 3-3.
Yeah, he came on to the Chelsea game.
Yeah, he literally with about 10 minutes to go, the game was done. Then we're never getting back in it. And a few of the lads, Alex Murphy and a couple of the other lads came on, and they got a run out off the back of it because the game was sewn up. We've not been in a position this season, even against some of the drab, where we're still in limbo whether the game's going to be won or lost. We've not had an opportunity to do that, but I absolutely think they've been on the bench long enough now that those lads should be given an opportunity. But it has to be right, and it has to be right for them. You know, coming on when there's still a lot to play and there's something riding on it, like it could go either way, and you don't want it to go the bad way because it'll be bad for the team, but it'll also be a bad experience for them. It kind of works both ways.
That's why I thought he didn't bring on some of the young lads then at the end, because they didn't put us in that shit, and it's just gonna just putting them in a bad position overall. But
yeah. We've had another super chat. Let me go to this. VIP the Romero, thank you so much, mate. Hope you're well. We can sell. Oh yeah, we've had this similar to this. We can sell Elanga for 30 and lose 25. So what? We need centre backs with speed. Even Chow was too slow. 3 slow in the back doesn't work in a 5 at the back. Sack Howe. Daz, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, cheers, VIP Romero. No, I don't think we can sell Elanga and lose 25 million in PSR terms. And I think Malik Chow has speed. I think Malik Chow is highly rated. I like obviously Hall, Botman, Malik Chow, and Tito. I'm happy for that to be our backline for next season when they're all fully fit and starting. And we need to build on that as well because we need to bulk out our defense and then get a new keeper. Then I'm okay with it. I think we do need another defender, but obviously it won't be till the summer.
Yeah. But thank you so much, VIP the Romero. And Pete, we've had a comment from someone we haven't seen in the chat for a while. Top guy, Seb. Hope you're well, mate.
You just messaged me. I'll put something in the comments. I was trying to find it, and then I was like, he said it was about half an hour ago. So I went back, and that's the only one that I found. So I'm hoping it's the right one.
Yeah, and Seb asks Pete, I understand why people think Eddie wasted money, but the best of managers make transfer mistakes. I'd give him next season, but if we don't get Champions League or Europa League and a cup next season is his last. Do you agree with that, or do you think Seb's being a bit too kind there, Pete?
Yeah, I agree with some of what he said. Absolutely. I do think there's some signings that he's made a mistake on, some of which happened in the summer. I won't go into too much detail on that because we've already kind of covered it. I think there are some mistakes in that he's made. But there are, as I say, there's always context to it. He's made those mistakes without a CEO or sporting director guiding him. He's had to do it on a whim. And so therefore that's the context added. But he has made mistakes, absolutely. But he is right. The best of managers make mistakes. You know, we only got to look at clubs like Chelsea, Man City have made mistakes on signings. You know, they've made some poor acquisitions as well and had to move them on very quickly or just haven't done well. Arsenal have done it. Chelsea have done it. Liverpool have done it. You know, it happens. So he is absolutely right in that. In terms of giving him next season, yeah, if he doesn't take the England job and he stays, fine. But the question marks around his future could well be justified if he doesn't get European football, which is the point that I made earlier on in the show. It's a non-negotiable. If he does get stick and not getting European football, it is absolutely justified because it's a non-negotiable for Newcastle United, particularly where we are. We made the step. We won the trophy. We got Champions League. We spent 250 million in the transfer market. It should still be enough to get Europa League football or Europa Conference football, especially in this type of season where everyone around us has been inconsistent. It should be European football minimum. If we're back on the same trajectory again, if we don't get the summer that we need and we don't get the upturn in form that we should be getting, then yeah, absolutely. The criticism and the question marks around his job should actually absolutely be there. And I'll be honest with you, I think if it runs into next season, I think David Hopkinson pulls the plug. I genuinely would. I don't expect it to because of what I'm expecting in the summer from the club. But if it did continue into next season, I don't think there's anyone that could sit here. If we're sitting here in a year's time and we're seeing the same stuff happening over and over again, I don't think anyone could sit here and go, yeah, we need to stick with Eddie Howe. We need to this, that, and the other. I think everyone would be more than justified to go, I think we need to look in a different direction. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair question, more than a fair question.
It is a fair question. Yeah, absolutely. My only concern with that is I don't want to get to September, October, November, December and have to pull the chain and then hope that there's someone out there to do the job. Because next season can't be experimental. If we've got no Europe, I expect Champions League, like bare minimum. I expect Champions League. So I almost want the owners to, or the CEO, sporting director, to look at this and go, is he the guy? And if he is the guy, we're sticking with him. That's because and as we've consistently said this season, boys, and people have asked us why we're not Eddie Howe out and why you're not saying that he needs to leave. There's nobody out there. Even if we sacked Eddie Howe tomorrow, who's coming in? Who's coming in to save this season? Because I can't think of anybody. And I'll be honest, I don't want to go down the Man United route and just pluck an ex-legend and just go, oh, yeah, Tino Asprilla. Yeah, mate, you have the job for the rest of the season. I don't want to do that. I just don't. I don't want to do it. I want the next person to come in after Eddie Howe. I want it to be a person that we want, a person that we've highlighted, and a person who's going to take the club forward. I don't want to bring in an interim. I just don't. And then potentially, boys, you're going down a rabbit hole because let's say it was. I'm making names up now. A Tino Asprilla or Laurent Mabert or
2030 Tino Asprilla.
No, that's what I mean. And then what if he does well? And then we go, oh fuck it, give him the job. And then after 6 months, oh no, he's shit. Get rid of him. Oh, we've turned into a bit of a laughing stock now. Can we get a half decent manager? And everyone's like, no, you're all right. No, I don't want that job. We've seen it. We've seen it with Man United. Look how many managers they've changed because they haven't just gone out and got the manager. They put it with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They've now got Michael Carrick. You you can't just go out and just bring in all these temporary stopgaps, because we're not that club. We're not that club that is in disarray. And oh God, Pete.
Shola at the wheel.
Shola. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm joking. By the way,
Based on the loan, man.
I'm joking.
Hey, we might bring a fucking loan in that way. You never know. Maybe we should bring Shola in.
Yeah, the wrong loan. Jesus
it won't
Christ.
be successful. It won't be successful, but it'll be.
The bloody wrong. Look, a year in football is a long time. We don't know who might be available at that point. That could potentially take the job. I think it's a fair point. I do think it's a fair point. You don't want to be chopping and changing mid-season.
No.
But yeah, but if we heavily invest, if he does keep his job in the summer and he doesn't go to England and he does heavily invest, it's a tough one. What you're saying, because he'll almost be needing to be given the first half of the season to show change. To show that he's actually improved the team. And someone put in the chat, and I don't know if it was even a super chat actually. Someone put, it was from Chappers. They've just put a super chat in, and it said, Pete, mate, never. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Pete. Yeah.
Pete, mate, he will never change, and he might well not. But if he stays, it won't be because we want him to stay or because anyone else wants him to stay. It'll be because David Hopkinson, Ross Wilson, James Bunce, and our chairman want
the True Geordie.
True Geordie does not want him to stay. But look, it'll be because they want him to stay. And so they'll give him the funds and they'll give him at least half a season to prove it, and then it's up to him. And if it doesn't work, then it's justified to go, come on, it's been over a year now, still no uptake in form. You're not in Europe, or for example, you're not in the Champions League, you're in the Europa Conference League. You should be able to navigate this. This is not working, and then you make the change. Some will argue for sooner. Justified in your points if we don't get European football. Absolutely. That's my stance. Non-negotiable, European football. If not, you're quite right, quite well justified to ask the question about his managerial position. But again, Daz will agree. I think Chris will agree as well. The owners are not going to sack him. And this is why we don't discuss it, because they won't sack him.
No, so true. So true. That is clear. That is very, very clear. Chapaz as well with another super chat. Thank you so much, Chapaz. You've been on fire tonight, mate. Thank you. Chapaz says, Keegan and Eddie don't rate the academies. Truth. Well, we remember back in the day, don't we, Kevin Keegan scrapped our academy system, didn't he?
Reserve team,
Yeah. And obviously we missed out on the likes of Michael Carrick and a couple of others actually. There was quite a list, wasn't there, of young Geordies who ended up, making it all the way through into the Premier League. Michael Carrick sprung to mind, but I know there was 2 or 3 others as well, but who were in the Newcastle Academy and then obviously got let go. Can't think off the top of my head. If anyone can, pop them in the chat. Dazzler, this is an interesting one from Coronord. Coronord says, why is nobody raging? Why are you not raging, Daz?
Well, half the reason is because I kind of expected that we were going to go out tonight. Really, if it was a one-off game and that was it, I think we'd be raging. We were more raging the first leg because of what we got, and I suppose getting the going 2-0 down right towards the death, which killed the tie first. And we could come on raving. We're complaining about a lot of stuff. If you look at the previous show as well, the Liverpool reaction, we're complaining about a lot of stuff. That's not usually us. We try to take as much of a positive outlook as possible, but there's a lot of things to complain about, and we would be happy clappers if we're not complaining about something, and there's plenty to complain about, and we don't know what way this is going really, and like everybody else, we're hoping this turns around some way, but we'll see.
Just really quickly on that. if this is Saturday night, I'm raging. Just to make that clear, just to give everyone a heads up.
Yeah.
If we're sitting here on a loss Saturday night, even a draw, we need to win. I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
Tune in for that one Saturday night.
Oh my God! Just imagine. Oh, yeah, Brentford at home. That's talk about must win. Talk about must win. Boys, I'm going to end it on one question and then one comment from one of our own, should we say? But the question is from Jumpers for Goalposts. Can we please discuss what the rest of our season looks like? Because I'm not feeling positive. Join the club. Pete, what does the rest of the season look like?
I'm not optimistic, and that's not like me.
No.
Although if you've started tuning in the last week or so, you probably will say it is like me. But really, if anyone's been following this channel for the last 5 years or so, you will know that I'm normally quite positive about it, or very positive about Newcastle United. But for me, I'm not optimistic about the rest of this season. As I've mentioned, I'm not going to go over it again. The January transfer window, it was a mistake. And I feel like we are going to feel the effects of that mistake. We're still playing too many matches. We are still massively inconsistent as a football team. We can't take chances on a regular basis in game, from game to game, and it's becoming a problem. We're not putting chances away. And I feel like it's going to be more of the same. We're going to win matches before now and the end of the season. We are going to win a number of matches. We are also going to lose a number of matches, and it will be incredibly frustrating. That is what the rest of the season looks like. The only thing I hope the only thing I ask for, I'm not asking for anything in the Champions League. I'm not asking for anything in the FA Cup. All I'm asking for Newcastle United is to secure some form of European football. That's all I'm asking for. Europa Conference, fine. I'll shake your hand. We're off to the summer. Let's see who we sign. Europa League, even better. Shake your hand. We're off to the summer. Let's see who we sign. But if we don't get European football, yeah, not good. That's what I'm feeling like right now.
Daz, you?
Chris, for me, let me think. I think I will answer this in song. Bring on May 24th and this season is over. My only hope is that we do win the Champions League, Pete. That's my hope. I know it may be a bit mad. It's no more madder than David Hopkinson and what he said today, of course. But why not?
That just made me laugh because there'll be so many people at home who may be listening to this in bed, or they've got the telly on downstairs, and that's just boomed out, and everyone's like, "What?" So if that was you, please leave a comment. That did make me laugh. That in terms of for me, yeah, a bit like you, Pete. I am normally a glass half full type of guy. But even I have been worn down and broken down by Newcastle in these last few weeks. With all my red and blue mates, I've been going, we'll be fine. We're only 4 points off fifth. We'll be fine. We're only 6 points off fifth. We'll be fine. And it's only been, I'd say, in this last week or two where I've just been like, we're not going to be fine. We're really not. I have been, like, stood on and trod on. And, like, I've really been disappointed the last few weeks, and yeah, I'm hoping we can turn it round. Is it possible for us to turn it round? Of course it is. It's just that the signs aren't really there, and that's what's worrying. But yeah, you said this last season, Pete, when you were talking about potentially taking Conference League, and I've always kind of switched off from Conference League. But the more I think about it, the more appealing it is. Now, before anyone bites me head off and says, well, why do you want Conference League when we've got Champions League? It almost feels like Conference League would be incredibly easy to manage. And I mean, incredibly easy to manage. We've seen, the standard of teams in the Conference League, but you're still getting that European football, and maybe that will give us the time to evolve and build and grow.
Youth.
I mean, you only have to see, don't you, some of the teams that are in the Conference League, and no offense, that would be easy to manage a squad with the Conference League, because we could Alex Murphy would be playing every week. Players on our fringes, Will Asula would be playing up front every week because he just would.
He wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be here.
He won't be here. But for this season, if we were in the Conference League, he would be there, wouldn't he? He'd be playing. All these players on the fringe, and you'd be getting minutes in them, and then you'd be going to Bruno Guimaraes, and you'd be going to Kieran Trippier, and you'd be going to Sandro Tonali. Not tonight, boys. These are playing. And you're keeping your squad really, really fresh. You could even keep them just for the Premier League. You could do that. And so maybe, and the reason I say that over Europa is because Europa isn't fantastic, but I think you would have to take it a bit more seriously because obviously the standard of clubs is much higher. So yeah, Europa Conference League, I never thought I'd hear myself say that, but yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But to not get Europe at all would be a real kick in the teeth, particularly if Villa get it, which it looks like they will in terms of Champions League. It would be a real kick.
Just to add to that, Conference and Europa League, we can win the fucking things.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know what I mean? We're not going to Champions League going off. We get to knockout stages. That's a great season, and it is because it's the Premier Elite competition. Because to get to knockout stages like we have is progress in that competition. But as I said to you boys before, getting Conference League now for an English team or getting Europa League now, you're automatically going in as favourites. The quality of team in there, like you said, is poor. And you can rest and rotate play. Yeah. Crystal Palace, I felt Crystal Palace up until sort of December time were managing it really well, and they were having a good season. They were up there. But the problem was their squad's smaller than ours. And they sold other players. They crumbled because they got injuries, and then they went on in January and just dismantled their squad. So they'll probably end up finding it difficult to navigate themselves through now. They might get to a certain point, but they might slip up. Whereas they were odds on with the players that they got to actually go the distance. Villa are the outstanding favourites of every team in that Europa League. And they will probably go on and win the Europa League. So they'll get that European trophy. They'll get the Champions League, regardless of what they do in the league. And they'll be buzzing. And they'll be exactly where they need to be. So getting those competitions, yes, money-wise, it's not the best, nowhere near the Champions League. But actually playing in Europe and a chance to win it, that's what you're in it for. Yeah. And then you're managing your squad as well. That's why European football is so important. There's some fans that we've seen in the chat in the last few weeks saying, "Oh yeah, I don't want Conference League, don't want Europe." I don't want to be a snob like what Tottenham fans are and Chelsea fans are. They turn up their nose up to competitions like that. Man United fans, they turn up their nose up to competitions like that. We shouldn't be. We're not there. We're not there yet. We're not there. We should embrace any European competition and get that regular European football into our legs so we can manage 3 games a week and be able to know what it feels like to go through a season and do it. Villa have done it. We'll be on to do it 4 times now. We've done it in a yo-yo system. We can't afford to keep doing that. So you're absolutely right to want to consider Europa Conference football and Europa League football because of the benefits it will have a benefit to playing in comparison to not playing European football at all. Yeah.
All right, boys, bring on the Vauxhall Conference or the Renault Conference or whatever you have in yourself. But on that note, we will bring it to a conclusion. We will be back. Stay tuned for that. No tune tonight. Or maybe there will.
Just going to say, Daz, I wanted to leave you with the final comment, mate.
No, it's not. There's 108 days to go until that.
Not that you count.
Could be with the Champions League trophy at that stage. Who knows? Right. Yeah, just a shout out. You can find us on multiple different platforms, across audio and of course on YouTube, where you're probably watching now. And if you're on X, make sure you get on and subscribe to us and hit that like button as well for our next upcoming shows. Across all the socials as well, X, Insta, and TikTok. And for any business inquiries or even sponsor-related inquiries, contact us on loadedmaginfo@gmail.com. We will say goodbye and see you on the next one. Another tune. Turn down that music. Here we go again. Good night, everyone. See you in the next one.